Okay, welcome again. So we were only live on Facebook, and somehow it wasn't entirely live on Instagram. So let's start again and just begin here. So happy to see. Yeah, good morning, Beth. So happy to see. Good morning, Mama. My mom is here. Also, good morning, Maria, Sujit. Good morning, Joachim. Beautiful to see various individuals from all around the world joining and coming in these mornings. I've been receiving various messages from you from around the world, which has been so beautiful. Good morning, Stephanie and Liz and Leslie. It really has been so inspiring to hear from you from all over. You know, even as I look now, we have people in the southern states and in Portugal, here in Canada, in India. So really weaving this coming together. So again, this morning, we're meeting in this time for inspirations around Ayurvedic Dinacharya. So just quickly, as I mentioned before, Dinacharya, this daily routine, is a beautiful pillar, and in many ways it's like the sadhana of Ayurveda. So just as in yoga, we may have our daily practice, our daily coming to, which then translates into the rest of our day. In the same way, Dinacharya, our daily routine, can really act as a sadhana. It can act as practical ways, but also the consciousness that we've been discussing, the consciousness of revering and being grateful for each day. But it also involves a lot of practical, technical remembrances that we can weave into our days that will then filter out and really allow the rest of our day to be one of awareness, presence, one of health and fullness. Welcome. Good morning, Kimberly. Also, good morning, Keshav and Kristen, Leslie. Seeing various individuals here, both on Facebook Live and also on Instagram. So happy to see you and to have you join. So the last two mornings we discussed some of the first moments of awareness that are had in Dinacharya and Ayurveda when we wake up. So how we come into the waking moments of our day. And we discussed that this praturatana, the waking up, is suggested firstly that we do so during Brahma Muhurta, during that time of creation, early in the morning, about an hour and a half before sunrise, and that something very potent and special is occurring at that time. And then yesterday we also talked about our first movements. So opening the eyes, or even before we open the eyes, being aware of the sense of being alive, being aware of the sense through the five senses even, of all of Prakriti, all of nature, as it filters in, as we can sense our oneness with life. And so we talked about really starting the day with this micro practice of acute awareness, of just really sensing the embodiment of wakefulness. And then from there, I was sharing with you that in the Vedic tradition, it's suggested that we then move into a moment of intention, of sankalpa, of sacred intention or heartful intention, or prayer. And I know for some of us, we may have, aversion to this word prayer. Others of you may feel so deeply connected to that word. So if intention or moment of awareness or whatever the wording is that may allow you to feel that you move into the rest of the day really with the attitude that you would like to see yourself living into, that's really what this moment is about. It's about deconditioning in many ways. It's about unlearning. Unlearning, as I was discussing yesterday, unlearning maybe some of the habituated tendencies that we may have embedded early on in our lives, or at some point in our lives, or throughout our lives, the inherited tendencies of how we wake up and then start to move into our day. And as I was sharing yesterday, that really, how we move in those first moments of daylight will really determine so much about the rest of our day. So, for example, if we wake up and immediately go to checking social media beyond using it for forms such as this, but if we wake up and we start to, for example, check social media, engage in that way, answer emails. There's so many other things that we might start to do. Or if, for example, we move directly to doing, lists, or just getting on with the next thing, making our way towards work, whatever it is that may be sort of these obligatory movements, then we lose that pristine moment of spacious awareness that's there in the freshness of wakefulness. There's such a freshness that occurs in that first moment of waking. There's actually, as we were discussing in our meditations yesterday, there's this sandhi, this transitory point that happens as the body moves from restfulness and sleep towards wakefulness. There's a moment of just pure, spacious presence. And if we can stay rested there, that can then translate into a continuity into the rest of the day. So if we can really start to, in our own way, hone in on whether it is, as I said before, a prayer or intention or something that allows us to stop, to pause, and to be there at the beginning of the day, it will really, even neurologically, start to change the course of how we're moving into our days. So I would really compel all of you, besides turning on your phones maybe to do this, to come together in this way in the morning, I would really welcome you to take a bit of a digital detox for the next few days, especially as we have this global invitation towards retreat, towards slowing down, towards really cocooning, as I've been using that word more and more, cocooning with ourselves or with our families, just taking everything a bit slower. I would welcome you because I'm seeing that being online is increasing, of course, during this time, which allows us to come together. But maybe those first moments of the day, take your phone in the evening and allow it to be at least a few meters away from you, if not in another room. And see if you can have an alarm clock, or the internal alarm clock might start to wake up of its own accord, but have an alarm clock that's different than your phone. And maybe really commit, especially if you're coming to practice with me in the morning, that really you just turn the phone on for us to be together at 7 a.m., but you don't check anything else until after breakfast. So we have this 7 until 9 a.m. time. We practice together, we're here together in inspiration and connection. And then afterwards, give some time for breakfast, for some settlement, before you even engage through the phone or through your computer. This can change so much in our lives. Really all of these devices and EMFs, these electromagnetic frequencies, they increase vata dosha. They increase the air and the ether, but not in a positive way. They often lead to scatteredness. They lead to a lot of friction energy. They lead to what we call mobile energy in the system. And so for a lot of us, that mobility starts to enter into the body, in which we never feel really rested. But it can also enter into the mind, in which the mind feels constantly racing. The mind feels constantly uneasy. EMFs in many ways, and these devices in many ways, can contribute to anxiety, nervousness, worry. So that's a little offering and a little recap of the last couple days of the intentionality that we've been inviting ourselves towards from the gift of Ayurveda. So those moments of how we wake up. And I was sharing with you yesterday this prayer of looking at the hands and waking up, recognizing all of the divine qualities that are here in our hands and our hearts. So if you missed that yesterday, please take a moment to check it out. I've posted both those lives here on Instagram and Facebook, and also on YouTube as well, so you can find those things there. And I've also put the prayer there in my story on Instagram and on Facebook, so you can listen to the prayer as well. So then what? Then what's suggested according to Dinacharya? Well, what's suggested after that is how we move out from the place where we're sleeping. So as I mentioned before, I have more of a sort of traditional sleeping bed, let's say it in that way, closer to the ground, a very thin mattress, which actually in many ways is reparative and rejuvenative for the body's anatomy. So often with the mattresses that we're purchasing today, they're providing so much softness, or various pillow tops, or all those kinds of things, that actually the spine and the body is not learning to support itself. The musculature of our body is also not learning to support itself. And so we may wake up feeling like, oh yeah, I was softly held, but at the same level, posturally, we need to be really aware of how that affects us. So sleeping on something flatter or sleeping on something that has just a gentle padding can actually be quite powerful. So how we move from this moment of prayer. So as I said yesterday, the idea is that we sit up, we rise, and then we move into whatever sankalpa, whatever intentional prayer or mantra or moment of awareness seems alive to us. So as I was sharing yesterday, that could be in your own words, in your own language, or it could be the Sanskrit prayer. And some of you shared with me yesterday, you sent me some of the prayers that you have felt inspired to start to say as you begin in the morning. And I was also sharing with you that beside my bedside, I will often keep different poem books or mystic poetry books or some of the Gitas, some of the original texts of the Vedic tradition, in which I can read a sutra or two before moving. So that might be something that's inspired also in your own life. And then from there, from seated, so already there's a wakefulness in the prana, a wakefulness in the energy that starts to move. But then from there, it's clearly offered in Ayurveda that before we even move out of the bed, we take a moment of recognition and of gratitude. And that recognition and gratitude is for the Mother Earth, actually. So it's really a prayerful moment in which we acknowledge the earth and we acknowledge her supportive foundational offering. We acknowledge the fact that we are going to step out onto her and that all that we bring in this day and that the entirety of our lives is only possible because she upholds us, because she's there for us, sustaining us, nourishing us, and allowing us to really move in our lives. And so before we even move from our beds, there's a moment of recognition, adoration, we could say, to some degree, and also reverence for the earth. And so the way this is usually done in the Vedic tradition or in Ayurveda as part of our daily routine, as part of Dinacharya, is that we actually take the right hand, and you'll see this even in temple, in mandir, so in temples in the Vedic tradition or in Hinduism as well. Whenever someone is looking to revere an energy, another being, a deity, a murti, a statue, but especially you'll see it also with a being, an elderly family member or a being or someone of respect or a teacher, they will come with the right hand, sometimes with both hands as well, but especially with the right hand to touch the feet, really in humility. This is a beautiful practice. So many of us in the Western climate need a little extra dosage of humility. I remember myself, my first trip in my early 20s to India, when I really started to recognize some of the implanted arrogance that lived here, just simply culturally bound. And so really having this humility to recognize someone else's greatness, the way in which someone else, inclusive of the earth, is really providing us boons, blessings, or providing us inspiration in this life, something starts to get cultivated here in our hearts. So when we can come humbly to life, there really is a different way in which we walk into our days and into our moments. And so the next thing that's done in Dinacharya is we take the right hand and we press it upon the earth. So we come to press it upon the earth. I often get some laughs about this because some of you say to me, my bed is quite high up off the floor, so I'm going to be kind of, supermaning over the bed. So gently you find your way to do this. But the idea is that we don't step our feet on the earth first, but rather we give this recognition first. So however that might happen for you. But if the feet touch the earth first, because you just have to get out of bed in one way or another, that's absolutely fine, but still taking a moment where we take the hand and we just recognize. You see, each one of these practices, and as we come to them in the next day, some of the more technical practices, like scraping our tongue and cleaning our nose and all those things, they are really considered as pujas, as rituals of awareness, rituals that open us to the fullness of life. And we're going to see this, that each one of these rituals has an intention of connecting us to one of the elemental alivenesses, one of the ways in which Shakti, in which prana is offering her fullness as a gift to us. It creates an opening to her. And so when we are doing these various practices, we may just think, oh, I'm just getting the gunk off my tongue, for example. But you're going to see that if you come to it as a ritual, if you really have a recognition of why you're doing it, that the effects become not only more potent on a physical level, but they also become much more potent on the level of your heart. They start to really open us up to the consciousness of oneness, to recognizing our no separation, our connection with all of life. And so similarly, it's not just something to be done rote, like, oh yeah, touch the earth and touch my forehead, then off I go. Instead, it's really allowing us to slow down in awareness of what is this life. It becomes an inquiry, actually. All of these rituals of Dinacharya are intended to bring us into vichara, into atma vichara, into a self-inquiry of what is this life, who am I, what's existence, what the heck am I doing on this planet at this time? And if not now, when? I really feel this. This is a potent time in which so many of us are asking questions. What is the importance of this life or this time? What's the meaning of having come into embodiment? And so when we come to these rituals with this depth of awareness and this depth also of, to some degree, bhakti, of worship and adoration, something really starts to light up through our hearts and through our presence into the rest of our days. And so we touch the earth with the right hand, and in that touching, each one of the arms is recognized in the Vedic tradition as an artery, a channel towards and from the heart. And so in many ways, we're touching the earth with our hearts, realizing and recognizing, and really it can be a moment of thankfulness. Thank you. As I walk upon you today, may I do so light-footed, may I do so in a prayerful way, and may my movements be meaningful. May I not just walk on this earth like I have for so many other years, maybe ignorant or unrecognizing of the importance of every step that I take. I'm just saying things in this moment, but really it's a felt sense, right? It's a felt sense of thank you. May my steps be potent. May my steps be meaningful, and may my steps truly, truly be of wakefulness. And so we touch the earth with gratitude to Prithvi, with gratitude to the earth herself. And then from there, after touching with the right hand, in the Vedic tradition, what is suggested is then we touch the forehead, or we touch what's understood as Agya Chakra, as the third eye. Almost like, may this wisdom, may this recognition come to the higher aspects of myself. And oftentimes you'll even see that you touch the forehead and then you touch the heart. May this be integrated in the highest aspects of my wakeful mind and also in my heart. May I live this truly. This is such a simple, this will take maybe 10 seconds, or some of you may slow it down and allow it to actually be like an asana, be like a posture. The posture of reaching down and touching and being there completely. But it takes me a little bit longer for us to talk about it and explain it and be here together in inspiration around it. And so this is the invitation for today. I would really like to invite each and every one of you to take your time in your mornings, in the next few mornings, with these three sort of phases that I've offered over these 3 days. The first being to really start to inspire yourself to wake up during this time of Brahma Muhurta. So to wake up during this time of creation, that time before sunrise, that time about an hour and a half before sunrise if possible, or within that at least. And then from there, to take a moment before you even open the eyes to feel and sense the aliveness, the gift of being alive, yet another day of being here. To taste through all 5 senses what it is to be completely alive. And then from there to sit up and to come into an intention, a prayer, in whatever way feels perfect for you. And then as you move out from the bed, to take this last invitation that we've covered today, which is to come to recognize the earth that you're about to stand upon, that it will provide the support for you to do your life's work or to be here in the way in which you would love to be here. And so touching the earth and then allowing the hand to come to Agya Chakra, to Anahata Chakra. So really coming to say, may my mind, may my ego really in many ways be dissolved in the recognition of the importance of this life, and may my heart be in accordance with all. And you can allow this motion really, as I was saying before, to be an asana, to be an embodied recognition, an embodied presence of what it is to live meaningfully. So this is this morning's inspiration. And I truly hope that, that these are of benefit to each and every one of you, especially as I'm inviting you into my bedroom. I hope that, that this is inspiring you also of how you want to curate and to treat this space of deep rest and of sleep, and maybe also taking that invitation, as I suggested before, to take your devices outside of the bedroom, to use something other than your phone as an alarm clock, and to really start to separate these EMFs, to take these electromagnetic frequencies, including TVs, etc., out from your bedrooms, and to notice the difference with sleep. But we'll talk more about this at another time. Okay, we're going to take a few minutes of break before we will come to meditation, to sit together. I will move spaces. Many of you ask me, why not just stay there, Tiffany, and sit and have meditation in the bed? But actually, it's known in the Vedic tradition that it's powerful for us to shift into a different energy, even our clothing, so to shift out of our PJs. I haven't yet got to the point where I'm wearing my PJs with you, my pajamas with you. But shifting that energy is really important, and I know a lot of you like to meditate in your beds. If you're going to do that, then I would really suggest sitting in another part of the bed, like at the end of the bed, or making the bed and then changing your clothing before you do that. But the bed has a specific restful energy that's different than the energetics you want to give to meditation. So it's better, even if you want to do it in your bedroom, that you set up another area. And actually, maybe tomorrow I will show you, because I have a small area also in my bedroom for meditation, but it's separate from the bed. And if you can find a place where you are facing the north or the east, this is particularly auspicious, this is particularly giving, generous, helpful in our meditation sadhana. So those are a couple suggestions of that. Okay, beautiful to see everyone again this morning. As always, these last few days I'm really touched as we come together in this potent way. And I hope that this will bring more peace, and that it will absolutely, as we receive the gift of Ayurveda into our lives, that it will also allow us to feel more of a sense of calm and peace on this planet at this time. I would love to chant with you this morning the Dhanvantari prayer. This is something also that in the mornings I like to chant even before I rise out of bed. So you can repeat after me. I have a raspy voice, so even if you're not able to, or you tell yourself you don't have such a wonderful voice, I'm a great example of this. I chant anyways. Okay, so let's come together to chant. Bring the hands to heart. You can repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dhanvantaraye Amrita Kalashtaya. Sarva Maya Vinashaya. Trailokya Nadaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Namaha. Even if chanting Sanskrit or hearing this prayer is new for you, just feel the vibration of this. This prayer is really asking that the energy, that the awareness, that the wisdom of Dhanvantari, of Ayurveda, of the Lord of healing, really the energetics of that healing intuition that lives as our very own self, that rise up to the surface, that filter out into the entirety of our being and our day, that we live in accordance with great healing, and that we all really truly be free from suffering. Namaste, everyone. So I will be switching spaces, and I hope to meet some of you for meditation now from 7:30 until 8, or whatever time it is, because I know that I have so many of you from around the world. Okay, blessings to each one of you for such a beautiful time together this morning, and we'll meet for meditation now in a moment. Namaste.